Good morning and welcome to the Frank and Jill Show. Frank Cusimano, Jill Farmer, Connor McCarthy in the house. Good program lined up for you today. Lynn Venhouse is going to talk movies and the Muni with us. Corey Miller from Channel 5 is going to join us at 10:35, the Pride of Freeburg. And we have a live concert. This is like the Today Show on a Friday, correct?
Yeah, it's the first time we've had a live musician. And, of course, our friend John Carney does it quite frequently. But we're very lucky to have Andrew Lucier. He is a Pride graduate of area high school here in St. Louis, now a successful Nashville singer and songwriter. He's playing a concert at Off-Broadway tonight. Not sure if they're sold out or if there's still tickets available, but we'll update you on that. But we get to have Andrew live in the studio at 11:30 today. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. Over the last 24 hours, the most interesting thing I've heard is Melissa Price Smith, and I think everybody knows this, or most people know it, she has an identical twin sister, Teresa Baumkamp. They actually were a part of a Las Vegas magician act, Siegfried and Roy, where you know how if you're doing something amazing, you think you've eliminated the person, but the person is back. Mm-hmm. Well, since they look identical, they were in this act. So people, oh my God, I thought they just killed her. And then she just pops up. Yeah. I mean, is that the craziest thing? Have you ever seen Siegfried and Roy, by the way?
I have not seen them other than on TV or specials. I've never seen them in person. Have you?
Yes. And it was just like incredible.
I've heard that. I've heard you just can't really believe your eyes
yes.
what you're actually seeing. It's that good. So she, some of detractors were trying to make something of the fact that she comes from a background as a dancer. And she has said, "Yeah, I do. This is my training. It's part of who I am. It took a lot of discipline, and I love doing it." We even talked about it off air when she was in the other day as well. And so I love that we live in a world now where stuff like the fact that you have interesting things, like you've done things other than just being a lawyer, are no longer used as to sully your reputation.
I admire that she did that. I have friends that prefer to hire former athletes who were walk-ons because the walk-on role where you're not getting the scholarship, you're not getting paid, and you're still out there 2 and 3 hours a day, 8 months a year training, that would be a great person to hire or to employ, I think.
Just had a conversation with somebody about this, very similar thinking. They hire a lot of Division III athletes because they say they know that they were in it because they loved it and they were willing to, without a lot of resources and with a lot of sport, to do something very hard in addition to what they were doing in terms of classwork, and that there was no give. If they didn't perform in the classroom and didn't perform academically, there wasn't going to be we'll pull some strings because we really need this athlete on the field. You had to do both.
Yeah, that's perseverance and toughness. All right, what do we got going food-wise this weekend? Connor has a new burger recommendation, by the way. Please tell us.
Yeah, last night I with some friends went to go watch the basketball game at this place called Smash'ems. Kind of it's the street in Morganford. That's yes. The street.
I think it's pronounced in South St. Louis as Morganford.
You got to use the accent. Really, really good smash burgers. That's all I can say. It's not like. I don't think you're going for the decor or the ambiance, maybe, unless you're really into a bar. But the burger is really good. That's all.
I can't wait to try that.
Did you have a particular kind of burger?
I got their barbecue burger. Came with it had like bacon, onion ring, and they used a Korean barbecue sauce instead of just the standard barbecue sauce.
Do you have a favorite if you go to a burger place?
No, I don't. I just kind of like see what interests me at the time.
How about you, Frank? If you're going and they've got different toppings on the burger, is there one that you tend to default to?
Topping wise?
Yeah,
I'm for everything.
Yeah. So I like a black and blue burger. I love a bacon and blue cheese on a hamburger person.
Ooh, that's really good.
See, that I would never order because I don't like blue cheese.
Yeah.
But
like blue cheese?
No. Yeah.
Blue cheese is something you either really like or you really don't like. I don't think there's any in between on that.
How about the power of onions? I bring this up yesterday because we had the Daily Bread in and Mr. Judd, Patrick Judd, was here. I had a really good sandwich, but I got to tell you, I had a lot of onions on that sandwich. Mm-hmm. And man, did I pay a price the rest of the day in terms of I had to do a couple of interviews in person, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my breath is rough. I tried to back away as far as possible Because those onions are unbelievably powerful.
Yeah, and
Oh.
I find, this is one of the other joys of getting older is I eat something like that and it seems to just stick around. My disposition, I seem to be
You don't
getting a more
care?
fragile. No, it just like I can taste it, and
Yeah. And
it's
gum
repeating
doesn't do
on
any
me.
good. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'd interviewed 3 different people, and I'm so far away from them because I even felt bad about it.
I know. We were talking about yesterday how we were with Dr. Rick, I think a couple days ago, how you could have done things like drink milk your whole life, no problem. Used to be able to have 2 or 3 glasses of wine, no problem. I think I get a more fragile disposition every single
Yeah.
year.
Do you know the sandwich shop in the Hill, Joe Fosse's Sausage and Emporium? I think that's what it's called, something like that. Factory, Sausage and Sandwich Factory.
No, how's it spelled?
Joe Fosse.
Okay.
Fassi. I brought it up because John Carney has a sandwich there on the menu, the John Carney Supreme, and I'm going to read you what it is. It's red wine and garlic sausage, melted pepper cheese, tomato sauce, onions, peppercini, mustard. And when I asked him about this, he said, it stays with you for the rest of the day. That was John Carney's description. So
Good.
that's the kind of sandwich you don't want to eat before you have to go do some TV interviews.
Yes, I believe Joe had been the victim of a crime.
He was
Yeah.
he was stabbed, I believe.
Yeah, and so in order to help, and he had a lot of very, very loyal customers who came out and tried to support him, and John Carney was definitely encouraging people to do what they can to support Joe Fosse's by going to grab
really
a
good
sandwich.
meatball sub. I can't speak on the John Carney. I've never ordered it.
You think it sticks to the
It
ribs?
would stick with me for the rest of the day.
Is it like when you open up the wrapper, it tells you how good it is?
I don't know.
No, that's an old line about Reggie Jackson's candy bar. You open it up, and it tells you how good it is. All right. We'll take a short time out. When we come back, the opening dialogue on the Big 550 KTRS.
that's everybody else's choice to make. One of the things that's come up a lot in coaching sessions over the last several weeks is the idea of boundaries. So, scale of 1 to 5, how good would you say you are at creating boundaries?
Not good.
Okay, me neither. How about you, Connor?
Probably 5.
You
I don't
good
know,
at it?
4 or 5.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty good at it.
Yeah, I think that's and we now know that people who are pretty good at creating boundaries long term tend to have better mental health, less stress, less overwhelm, feel like they have more agency in their lives. And a lot of times, people who aren't good at it, like me, generally, I used to mistake the idea of a boundary and a wall. I felt I like connections to people, and I felt like people who had good boundaries were people who are always putting up walls and separating themselves from other people and weren't kind and caring. So what I learned from a psychologist friend of mine, and I use this a lot in my practice, is a boundary doesn't have to be like a 6-foot wall. You've been to Kentucky, you lived and worked there for a while.
Yes.
So you know those horses in the beautiful horse farms, how they have these white fences that are actually, there's a lot of space between them. They look beautiful. They're not a big ugly wall that separates anything. They're just a nice clear, and the horses in general don't go past those. It's just a clear boundary, and they're trained. If you had a wild Mustang, that would probably not work. You would have to build a higher and a higher encroachment or a higher wall to keep them from encroaching that. And that's where I always tell clients, if we can, sometimes all we need to do is start with that little pretty white fence that says, you're there, I'm here, and here's where the boundary is of where your needs and my needs can stay separate from each other without letting it walk all over. And then if you need to, you can build something higher that's going to keep it separate. But it doesn't mean you're a bad person or doing something wrong if you create that boundary where it lets everybody know where your efforts and energy will end and where the other person's responsibility starts.
That's well put. I like the fence analogy. That's good. In fact, I've been to quite a few of them. Claiborne Farm, real quickly, you've heard of Secretariat, obviously, but Secretariat and Riva Ridge. Secretariat and Spectacular Bid would wake up every day from age 3 to like 15. They'd be looking right across from each other.
Oh, really? They just happen to grow up right
at Claiborne Farm, yeah.
That's cool.
All right, thought 3, Stream of Con. Sports thought, by this time next week, we're going to know a lot more about the Cardinals. 3 with the Reds, who they lead by a game, and 4 with the Cubs, who they trail now by 5.5. Could they turn this season into the feel-good story like the Blues suddenly did? Because let's face it, for about 60% of the season, we think, the Blues are just the Blues. It's no fun. And then bang, bang, that winning streak. Or will they be mediocre and end up selling at the break? I do know this. They got 5 guys who are dangerous. Wilson Contreras, 50 RBIs. Ivan Herrera, Brendan Donovan, Alec Burleson. I love Mason Wynn. Lars had a game-winning homer. Nolan Gorman has been better. Nolan Arenado has had big hits. They have me interested, especially this weekend. Monique, birthday on Sunday. Now, she's going to the Muni, and I am going to work. So I was looking for a clever idea for a birthday present. Now, she's going to somewhere on some kind of retreat for yoga, Croatia.
Oh, how cool.
So that's kind of the birthday present, but you can't, that's in a couple months, so you can't say, well, that's your present and not have anything.
Good plan.
So,
I like how you think.
This is the idea, and I got help from Ann Allred. I think I can say it because Monique, she rarely listens anyway, and I think she's playing pickleball. So you're adopting an olive tree in Italy, and you get to pick the field in a drop-down menu. Then the following listed above will be sent to Monique. Overall, her welcome package will have 3 tins of their olive oil, and then she will receive additional tins months later that are harvested from her tree grove in Italy. That sounds like kind of a cool gift, doesn't it?
Yeah, that does sound like a cool gift. Can I make another suggestion? You can ask Brooke where her her mom's favorite place is to buy clothes that she likes for yoga, like whether it's Lulu or Vuori or someplace, and get her a gift certificate to there.
I think that's a great idea. The only problem is, for like the last 10 years, that's all I've ever done is buy her pickleball clothing.
Yeah, I know, but since she is going on this trip, and she might want a couple of new things for the trip, that you could say it's a little more specific. But I like I think the olive oil or the olive tree idea is kind of fun.
And
as well.
her sister's coming into town, so I'm taking the 2 of them to John Minio's off Clayton Road in Town and Country. You feel like you're in Italy when you're there.
I have one other
excited about
suggestion that would cost you no money, which is to guarantee that on a Friday or Saturday when you're not working, that you give her 100% of your time and don't schedule any interviews or anything else, and you guys just have an incredible day together.
That's going a little overboard, but I did. Because this is her birthday weekend, so I was doing all the dishes today and doing all the cleanup stuff. She goes, "Boy, you have my love language." I go, "Really? Doing the dishes? That's my love language." Jeez.
Okay, well, so I'm just saying it really might go a very long way to give that unfocused time and attention, because she's pretty fabulous. Well worth it. Couple of randoms for me today. Thoughts. It's a good weekend for music in St. Louis. A lot of things going on. We talked a little bit earlier about Andrew Lucier, who's going to be joining us in studio later. Concert there at Off Broadway tonight. John and I will be going to that in Lafayette Square. We get to attend our first summer concert of the series, I might just bring the garden hose down the street with me and sit under it for the entire thing, because it's going to be hot, but it's going to be great. Jeremiah Johnson Band, very fun, always every year, and there'll be a few thousand of my closest friends joining me in the neighborhood for that fun event as well. Wilson Phillips, funny, we just talked about her earlier this week, right? About the group, rather. Wilson Phillips, scheduled to play at River City Casino tonight. Of course, they're American pop vocal group formed in Los Angeles back in 1989. And we were trying to remember who was in the band. Carney and Wendy Wilson, daughters of Brian Wilson. So kind of funny. Brian passes away this week, and his daughters happen to be scheduled. I haven't heard. There is no report that it's been canceled yet, but they did just lose their dad earlier this week. Of course, Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, and the other member is China Phillips, who, to your point, Frank, daughter of John and Michelle Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas.
Yes. Wow. That sounds cool.
Yeah, they were a phenomenon in the late 90s, late 80s and early 90s. I mean, they just hit after hit after hit. So I bet if you did go, we know a lot of the songs. I haven't stayed up on their more current music, but back in the day, they were hit makers for sure.
Awesome. All right, let's take a short break. Corey Miller from Channel 5 when we come back.
But first, we have great news for you guys if you've been wanting to do something to help our neighbors in need this summer, and that is Christmas in July. What is that I'm talking about? Christmas in July. Salvation Army, of course, serves 6,500 children every single year in St. Louis City and County with their Angel Tree Toy Town event. And they make Christmas happen often for many of those kids who wouldn't have much Christmas if it wasn't for the Salvation Army, making sure that they get beautiful toys to celebrate Christmas and the joy of the season. So we're partnering up here at KTRS along with our friends at Westport Plaza and collecting toys to be able to support Christmas in July, because we know, thanks to the tornadoes that hit our area hard in North St. Louis, there are going to be more families than ever, far more than the 6,500 that they've helped in the past, that are going to need that support this year. So here's all you have to do. July 11th and July 18th, there's going to be a movie in the outside courtyard with the big screen here at Westport Plaza, a really fun family event or a great date night for you. On July 11th, it's Finding Nemo. On July 18th, it's going to be The Sandlot. Bring your family down to watch the movie here and enjoy an evening at Westport Plaza. And all you have to do is bring a new unwrapped toy. We'll be collecting them, distributing through the Salvation Army. So help make a child's Christmas great this year by celebrating Christmas in July with us, the Salvation Army, and our friends at Westport Plaza.
and Jill Show. We'll talk movies with Lynn Venhouse coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. Right now, we're joined by Corey Miller from our staff at Five on Your Side, the Pride of Freeburg. And you know, Jill, if you were to ask Corey probably this question, that who's the most famous person in the world that you were surprised knew your first name, he could answer it by saying what happened a couple of months ago in like a Busch Stadium elevator. He had shot a story with Ozzie Smith, I think it was last year, and he's going up in the elevator, and Ozzie sees him and he says, "Hi, Corey." I mean, that's like, oh my God. Have you recovered from that?
Hi, Corey. Hey, Corey, I saw you on the news this morning on our Today in St. Louis program, was watching you live from Busch Stadium. That was even the more surprising thing. He tuned in and was watching my live shots. No, I'm never going to recover from that.
How long after that did you call mom or dad to tell them that Ozzie Smith said my name?
Oh, I just, drop it into conversation anytime I possibly can. I remember after I did the story, I just, with no context, just sent a picture of me and Ozzie to my dad out of nowhere. I didn't tell him I was doing the story, and I know that really shocked him.
Corey, it's Jill Farmer here. I heard it was the headline the next day in the Freeburg Tribune. Is that true?
Yeah. That would be headline making news in the Freeburg Tribune for sure.
Oh, that's fun. Hey, let's talk Cardinals a little bit. Big weekend.
Absolutely. Reds coming to town. I know a lot of folks looking a little bit ahead of that series to the Cubs next week. And it's a crucial time because, when the Cardinals were in Milwaukee this past weekend, it looked like that might be the weekend when things start to turn and things could really fall apart. But they've, kept themselves alive. They swept the White Sox. And if you want to make the playoffs, you have to be sweeping the Chicago White Sox. So Reds coming to town, big stretch of games here coming up at Busch Stadium. It's gonna feel like summer. It's hopefully gonna feel like old school kind of Cardinals Cubs dead of summer fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, isn't it weird that I don't think anybody really knows or has a good feel of how this thing's going to unfold. I mean, at the beginning of the season, this is going to be the worst ever. And then that incredible month of May, and then you kind of come back to life. I mean, nobody's got a feel. It's almost, I mentioned this earlier, it's almost like the Blue season. And then all of a sudden, boom, the winning streak, and you had this feel-good season that we're going to remember.
It's July, and it could go pretty much any way, and it would not shock me. I do think it's interesting that even if the record is not where they want it to be at the trade deadline, all of their guys who, maybe not all of their guys, but a handful of their guys who I think at the beginning of the year they were definitely think about maybe unloading at the deadline. Arenado, they already tried to trade him in the offseason. He's had a great couple of weeks. Maybe he piques a couple of teams' interest. Eric Fetty, Miles Michaelis, some veteran starters might be getting a few nibbles here and there. And Ryan Helsley, hopefully rebounding from his kind of stumbles earlier in the season. But they're going to have a really interesting decision here in a couple of weeks if they're in the same position that they're at.
Corey, you're down at the stadium all the time. Have you noticed that the what some have considered the surprising improvement in the Cardinals' play compared to what a lot of people were predicting in the preseason? Is that translating into more people in the stands?
It's been tough to gauge. I'm going to hopefully try to get over there this weekend because, I know it's going to be really hot, but, historically that hasn't turned folks away in the middle of the summer coming to Busch Stadium. So I hope it's packed there. Still on the weeknight, you're looking around and probably wishing it was a little better. But, I mean, this team is exciting. I think you can say that even whichever way this season goes. There are interesting things about this team that people want to see. So it's certainly better, I think, than it was last year and as we've seen it in previous time, especially on the weekends. People are free. They're going to come down still. It's Cardinals baseball. It's always going to have some sort of draw. What really stood out to me, especially the Dodgers and Royals series, man, there was a lot of blue. There was a lot of fans in the crowd, but a lot of it was blue. So I think there's still a little bit of work to be done to get everybody back on board, but I can't say it has not been better because it has.
Does mom and dad watch every sportscast?
Oh yeah, I get a text, 2 or 3 minutes after I'm on every single one. Well, now if they can't watch, they let me know ahead of time. Well, we can't watch this one. We're going to be out something, but we're going to make sure we get back and watch this other one at 10. So, yeah, every single one I get a text after, right as I'm walking off.
And how about walking around Freeburg? What's that like?
It's a very small town, so I've known pretty much everybody my whole life. So they know me. They know what I'm doing. They think it's really cool, and we always want to talk about whatnot. And I have to pull back the curtain and show them it's a little more boring and not exciting as they think it is. But yeah, everybody knows.
Wow, yeah, that's nothing is more glamorous to people in their minds than being a TV reporter until you spend one day on the job and you go, there's a lot behind the curtain here people don't realize. You spend about as much time with our friend Frank as anybody besides his family. What would most people be surprised to know about Frank who watch him or listen to him on the radio every day?
Oh, man. I don't think people would be surprised when I say this, but I don't think he sleeps. Like, I don't know when he is able to shut his eyes and go to sleep, because not only is he on the radio here, then he's, of course, working, 10 hours at the TV station, but he also comes in to work every day asking me if I've seen this new TV series or show, and I don't know when he's had time to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's just working or doing something 24 hours a day, and it just astounds me how he's able to just do everything.
It's got to be pretty fun to work for a workaholic like that. That's pretty exciting usually.
Now, Corey,
it's exciting, but it sets the standard, and I gotta try. I'll never live up to it, but you gotta try to keep up. But nobody can keep up with Frank.
I always tell Corey after he's had a long day, just get out of here. Go. Get out as soon as you can. It's a beautiful day. Go hit golf balls. That's the only way to do it. Mm-hmm. The one thing that people don't know about Corey, though, is that of all the Seinfeldian experts in the world, he probably is number one.
Wow.
I mean, give us an idea of your historical knowledge of Seinfeld and how you have followed it and know every episode and every line.
It's bad. It's like a tick. I don't know. I can't get rid of it. I've compared it this way. I feel like there's a Seinfeld episode or a Beatles song for like every scenario in life. Maybe that's me. It's just how my brain works. I have a weird memory for Seinfeld stuff, and probably happened in college. I think I got the complete series, and let me dive into this. And now I've seen every episode at least, I don't know, 12 times at least. It's probably no fun watching it with me because I just quote everything and ruin it ahead of time. And I make this joke, but it's not too far off. In our sports office, I think we watch more Seinfeld than we watch sports.
Yeah, because each of us have 2 to 3 TVs in front of us, and always one TV is on Seinfeld. List 5 or 6 of Jerry's girlfriends.
Oh, well, their names on the show are the actress names. Mulva's maybe the most.
Yeah.
You say one word and that's her, and then they're real and spectacular. Of course, that's up there. But we always comment. We don't believe. Well, Jason Alexander's character George Costanza was written by Larry David to emulate Larry David, and it's interesting how Larry David always gave George some very attractive-looking girlfriends that I don't think George in real life, if he existed, would never have a chance at.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do. I do want to know though, since you guys are a lean and mean sports department these days. When you compare it, especially to the heyday of the TV news years, maybe 20, 25 years ago. What do you like to do when you aren't working or in the sports office or watching Seinfeld?
Well, like Frank, I golf when I can. Just try and fit it in whenever I can. But yeah, I'm thinking about work a lot, which is great because this is the only job I ever wanted to have. So to be able to be thrown and immersed in it like I am is quite fun. I ride my bike a lot. Now that I live over here in Missouri, I get to ride to Forest Park, which if you would have told me growing up, I'd just get to hop on the bike and go cruise around Forest Park. I'd think that was the coolest thing ever. So, I'm usually outside doing something when I'm not at work.
Yeah, and now he's a little bit like you, Joe, kind of a rich kid. He's got this chic condo in Brentwood. He's got a pool there. His parents just built a pool in Freeburg. He's poolside a lot when he's not working. Let's face it.
Hey, in this humidity around here, you got to. What are you going to do?
That's right. All right, young man. I'll catch you soon. Good work. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Corey Miller joining us from our staff.
Oh, that was
you know what? I'm thinking Lily and Corey.
I think Lily's pretty taken.
Lily, are you taking right now? All right.
Okay, Lily, our digital news
Nothing about it, like
producer.
asking live on the air.
Yeah, I was going to say she's going to kill you for that. But our digital news producer making sure that she and Connor working together to make sure that our live broadcast on 550 KTRS TV, if you check it out, the Frank and Jill Show live on YouTube streaming, as well as all the other places you enjoy us. If you're listening on KTRS.com, on our KTRS app, or on the good old fashioned radio on 550. Hey, our friend Jeff Zufall, Capital Advisory Group, put it on your calendar tomorrow. He and Josh Gilbert will do their show that they do every single week called Keep What's Yours on the Big 550, which is a great show about how to be smart with your money. And Jeff is one of those wealth advisors that says if you don't have your tax strategy right, then your wealth strategy isn't right, because there's no way you can grow your wealth and be able to have the nest egg you want to have unless you do it being the smartest you can be when it comes to your taxes. And that means not overpaying your taxes, which is why Jeff literally wrote a book on the subject called Keep What's Yours, a bestseller on taxes. The reason that he cares so much about this is because he knows that over time, a lot of people just ignore, they're used to doing taxes the old-fashioned way. Sometimes they take a lot of pride, and I do my own taxes. But as taxes have gotten more complicated, you are going to be leaving some money on the table unless you have somebody who's seasoned like Jeff to stay on top of the ever-changing tax laws. Reach out to him today, 636-394-5524. Or capitaladvisorygrp.com. That's Jeff Zufall and Capital Advisory Group.
All right, let's hear about
Buddy, and as usual, one of our astute listeners helping us get the facts straight because we did not have the facts straight a little bit earlier. We were talking about Joe Fosse's On the Hill, and somebody pointing out to us that it wasn't Joe who was stabbed; it was the current owner, Tom Cole, and stabbed 3 times in the neck and chest. Usually things don't happen like that on the Hill. And so they're saying, give your support. Portion of the proceeds will go to support him as well. So that is the update on that. We appreciate you taking the time to do that. We love hearing from you guys on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126.
All right. Let's see. Anything else interesting on the text
Yeah,
lines?
somebody else. You brought up a really good topic about this idea of the Ted Cruz, Tucker Carlson. Let's call it showdown that they had. And he said from Ciro, he's saying hate begets hate. He said he enjoyed it because he doesn't like either people. So I guess if you don't like either of those
They
people,
were both body slammed. Yeah.
watching them go back and forth each other. So somebody else pointing out that you did a really nice story about the black lab, and when you finished, I didn't make any nice comment. I just jumped on and changed the subject. So sorry. That is kind of how the opening dialogue tends to work, but you're
Well,
right.
you
It was a
can't-
really
you
good story.
Can't linger on my thought, then we can't get to your thought. We each got 3 thoughts, so you got to move on. Maybe one comment, boom. I didn't think you moved on too fast.
Yeah, and I think somebody else pointing the conversation around boundaries. I often talk about a brick wall. How high it needs to be depends on the relationship. Sometimes we can step over it. Others need to be higher. Ed Becker, as usual, you always have wise things to say.
Yes, he's good.
And news is coming up right after this, and then we have an excellent second hour of the show, so make sure you keep it right here on The Frank and Jill Show.
From ABC News, I'm Stephanie Officer. More attacks overnight from both Israel and Iran. An Iranian missile striking southern Israel, sparking a fire. And Iranian state media reporting that Israeli drones were intercepted over Tehran.
The civilian death toll rising on both sides, though most deaths reported in Iran. Israel and Iran both issuing evacuation orders to residents in each other's country, warning that operations may be taking place.
ABC's Ian Panel. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister was set to meet with top diplomats from Britain, France, and Germany today in Geneva. Here's Ambassador Daniel Moran, permanent representative of Israel to the UN in Geneva, on Iran targeting the Soroka Medical Center in Israel.
This is a war crime and an act of terrorism. The silence of the UN is deafening.
2 weeks. That is the promise from President Trump for a decision on whether the United States will launch a possible attack on Iran's nuclear program. The president citing the possibility of more negotiations with Iran for holding off. ABC's Mary Bruce.
The president's new 2-week timeline, a blow to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has been pushing for the U.S. to get involved. Only the U.S. has the 30,000-pound bunker buster bomb capable of penetrating Iran's nuclear site 300 feet underground. It's never been used on the battlefield, and there are concerns about how effective it would be.
Dangerously high temperatures forecast for parts of New York State. Here's Governor Kathy Hochul on how it'll feel today.
The heat will intensify on Sunday. The feels-like temperatures will approach 100 degrees. This is so unusual for all of us. And then between Monday and Thursday, the feel-like temperatures could hit 105 degrees in many parts of our state.
A 15-year-old boy says he feels pretty lucky to be alive after being struck by lightning in Central Park Thursday when thunderstorms hit New York City. You're listening to ABC News.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Captid Pegol, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
This is KTRS St. Louis, Talk of St. Louis. I'm Jim Fairchild. Dangerous heat in the forecast, St. Louis area on this first day of summer. This is St. Louis Department of Health encouraging everyone to take precautions to avoid heat-related illnesses. This includes staying in the coolest environment possible and limit outdoor activity. Wear light, loose-fitting clothing. Drink plenty of cool water to prevent dehydration, and also avoid beverages containing alcohol or caffeine. The University of Missouri Extension Service is informing residents that now is the time to mow or spray poison hemlock. Get more of that story from KTRS's Steve Potter.
According to scientists at the university, poison hemlock can kill livestock and is currently flowering and setting seed in much of Missouri. It grows up to 9 feet tall and can be identified by its small white umbrella-shaped flower clusters and purple dots along the stems and leaves. You can see it growing now in ditches, roadways, and other areas that aren't mowed regularly. University scientist Kevin Bradley says if you can't mow, you can spot spray individual plants with herbicides, but he advises to wear protective gear while doing so. Evans says toxins in the plant affect animals' nervous systems like nicotine, initially causing tremors and may progress to total paralysis and suffocation. He says symptoms usually appear within an hour of ingestion and can kill the animal in just a few hours. For more information on identifying poison hemlock, go to extension.missouri.edu. Steve Potter, KTRS News.
Unemployment claims are down in Missouri. We'll get more on that from KTRS's Jill Enders.
Initial unemployment claims in Missouri are falling. The Missouri Department of Labor reports there were just over 2,800 initial claims filed during the week ending on June 14th. Now that marks a decrease of more than 1,000 claims from the previous week. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minute brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist. Place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. On Wall Street right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up by 74 points. It stands at 42,246. NASDAQ has dropped 93 at 19,452. S&P 500 down by just 9 points. It stands right now at 5,970. In sports, told yesterday, Mizzou basketball has compiled its noon conference schedule for the upcoming season. And if you take a look at the numbers from the opponents from last season, it would equal 2 quad 1 games, but a staggering 9 quad 4 games. Forecast for today includes an extreme heat watch that goes into effect tomorrow at noon and runs until Tuesday evening. Our forecast for today, mostly sunny skies, a high near 93 degrees, heat index values as high as 100 today. Tonight, mostly clear skies, a low of around 77. Tomorrow, sunny with a high near 96, heat index around 106. Tomorrow night, mostly clear skies with a low of 77 degrees. And on Sunday, sunshine with a high of 96 degrees. Sunday night, mostly clear, warm low of 77 degrees. Right now, we have sunshine, 87 degrees. I'm Jim Fairchild, KTRS News.
All right, we're back. One of our favorite times of the week, Lynn Venhouse joins us to talk some movies and some shows. I got a personal one here, The Better Sister, Amazon Prime. Have you gotten to it yet?
I haven't, but it's on my list this weekend.
I think it's really good.
That's what everybody tells me, and my sister likes it. So if my sister likes it.
And Jill, the sports enthusiast, is already watching the golf series. Stick?
Yeah, I am. And Frank, I
Yeah.
do like sports to some degree. I just don't like watching golf quite as much as you. But I do think it's good, not great so far, but maybe I need to give it a little more time.
I think because we were built up to think it's the next Ted Lasso, and it's not. But all the shows that we love are coming back, like Ted Lasso's coming back, and
That'll be for a third, or is that third season or fourth?
Fourth.
And when is
Yeah.
that going to be released?
They haven't said. They've been really, but I looked up. Your Friends and Neighbors was renewed. So
That's good news, I think, for all of us.
Yeah, that's good news. And then Paradise is coming back in January, and Shailene Woodley is joining the cast.
Yeah. Would we all agree that Paradise is the best of what we've discussed here recently? I mean, if you factor them all in, Paradise.
I thought it was just an incredible, absolutely incredible.
I liked it better than Your Friends
premise.
and Neighbors. Would you agree with that?
I did end up liking it by the time all was said and done. I liked both of them were clever premises, but I thought they were both very
Game
good.
changers. Every episode had so many twists and
Yeah.
turns,
Mhm.
and you would leave it going, oh, and you couldn't wait for the next one. That's the way I felt.
I've got to ask you about, because you're not only are you a movie and TV show aficionado, you're a theater buff as well, and you missed Lin-Manuel.
I know. I
by
know.
one day
know.
in St. Louis. You were at the Muni one day after he was there. First of all, what'd you think of the show at the Muni? And
Oh,
secondly,
it's fun. It's a marvel of motion. These kids are incredible, and they're University of Kentucky elite cheerleaders. You can tell the difference between the cheerleaders and the musical theater people, but it's pretty seamless. But Kennedy Holmes, who was on The Voice, she only placed 5th, but she got all 4 chairs to turn, and she was like the youngest contestant to have that happen back in 2017, 18. And then, so she's all grown up now. She's 19 and she's one of the leads.
oh, fun.
And so she's grown up on the Muni stage. So it's nice to see her. But it's a marvel of motion. And then this is Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote this after In the Heights and before Hamilton. So he's finding his way. But when I saw it at the Fox, because Mike Isaacson at the Muni, he produced it, I thought, these lyrics sound like Lin-Manuel Miranda. And sure enough, he was in the program. So Amanda Green and Lin-Manuel Miranda did the lyrics, and Tom Kitt did the music. And
he came on stage too, right?
Yes, he did, and I missed him. And he's one of my heroes. And I was just like, I even have his book about good night and good morning. It was written for his son, like how to calm your kids down before they go to bed. It's just a joy. But yeah, he came out and he said it was his first time at the Muni.
Wow.
So I think the Tony Award really helped put the Muni back in people's eyes. And also, this one isn't done that often.
How unique is it for a big city to have outdoor theater like that, as nice as we have here in St. Louis? Does every city our size have something like this?
No. And Kansas City has one, but they have mostly touring shows. So nobody does what they do in terms of putting together a show. And the next one coming up is Come From Away, which is one of my favorite shows. And I cannot wait to see what they do with this. But I told people, if you're going to go to one Muni show, go to that one. Go to Come From Away. But they get these quality people. And when they were at the Tony Awards, Mike Isaacson said he was at this Tony luncheon, and Darren Criss, who won Best Actor of Glee, he came up to him and said, oh, when I was at University of Michigan, I would take the train down and watch my friends in shows. And all these people at the Tonys were coming over to them talking, oh, I was in the Muni. So it's this huge community. So I think it brought that back. But Lin-Manuel Miranda, it was his first time. And then Amanda, so everybody, of course, went crazy, but they had an hour rain delay. So... Anyway, yeah.
I wanted to ask. Speaking of St. Louis connections and the Tony, of course, we won a regional Emmy for the Muni, which was very exciting. We, as if I have
Yeah.
anything to do with it.
Well, Mike thinks it's because of everybody being so loyal.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask about somebody I think you also know well in the theater community, Jack Lane.
Yes.
And he got his 4th Tony. Is that right? Tell us about his St. Louis connection and about winning another Tony.
Okay, well, I have an article in the St. Louis, in the Webster Kirkwood Times about him. He won his 4th Tony, but he is now full-time Broadway producer, and he's doing the new Kristen Chenoweth, Stephen Schwartz musical, The Queen of Versailles, and it's his first original music since Wicked.
Wow.
And it's Kristen Chenoweth, F. Murray Abram, and it's based on the documentary about these super rich people who decide that they're going to build a mansion that's like Versailles, but that's in 2008 when the bottom dropped out of the economy. And so I don't understand. Sometimes they take these things for a musical and you're like, really? Okay, they're going to do this. But the big excitement is he's bringing Always Patsy Cline to Broadway. And he had that at stages 3 times, and it was a huge hit. And it's only 2-person cast. And he said within 2 years he'll have it on Broadway. But they have a big wish list, and he told me who Patsy Cline's daughter would like, and they sent her a video and said, we'd like you to play my mama. And so we'll see but I'm not at liberty to say because no contracts, but he's just full force going out there. And he also has a new film. It's a documentary by Kenneth Cole, the director. I mean, not the director, but the designer, and how his activism, like he was a big AIDS activist and now mental health. And so he uses all his money for good.
Okay, so
yeah.
let's get to movies. And I
Yes.
think I just know so many people who don't even think about going to the movies anymore because you can just watch it all at home. We kind of got used to that during COVID, and there's so many great shows out there. So for a movie to be a big hit or to make you get up from your couch and spend money, it's got to be really good.
Right.
Now, the Mission Impossible thing, I imagine, has done well. Superman in July. So this week we have 28 years later. Is this something you recommend somebody going and spending $40 at the theater?
Well, I think you have to have a interest in this because it is horror, and so horror has a niche, and it's about a rage virus, and maybe you don't want to watch dystopian type things because I know that sometimes I'm just like not in the mood to watch like the end of civilization, you know.
Yeah.
But it's well done, but it's gorier and bloodier and scarier than the one that was 2003. But they are going to start this new wave, and it's this isolated community in the UK, and they live like in a different century because they had to rebuild society. This rage virus is not zombies, but they get infected really fast, and then they try to kill people. It's just really gross. So Danny Boyle, who directed Slumdog Millionaire and 127 Hours and things like that, that's his style. But it is very zippy. It's very well acted, but I think it's an acquired taste. Like, I think they could have stopped at the first one with Cillian Murphy. And Cillian Murphy's a producer on this one. But I think they could have stopped. I don't think we need to keep seeing this again, but it's well done if you like that. But the movie next week I'm going to see is F1 with Brad Pitt. So
That's
I
the
think
one that
that's
everybody's
the
talking about.
one that everybody's going to spend their money on to see on the big screen.
Oh,
Yes.
you're hearing good things about Superman, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I think we're going to go see F1. And the other one that I think we'll definitely put on our calendar, not coming till October, but are you have any insider knowledge on the new Bruce Springsteen biopic, Deliver Me From Nowhere, that's going to star Jeremy Allen White, which, of course, we all know from The Bear.
Oh, I know. Have you seen the previews?
Yes, it looks great.
Oh, it looks so good. I love it's about his recording of the landmark album Nebraska, which is really good. But I could not believe how good Jeremy Allen White looks like the boss, and also all the people in it. What a great cast.
Have you heard if he's singing, if he's doing his own singing?
I don't. I got to find that out because, you know, it's just, well, Bruce, you know, it's got such a distinctive voice. So we'll see. But look at all the movies like The Complete Unknown and the Bohemian Rhapsody and Elvis.
The bar's kind of high.
It is high.
All right, TV series to watch. There's one called The Waterfront. It started June 19th on Netflix yesterday.
Yeah.
So is this one, have you seen it? What do you think?
I have not seen it yet. When I got home from the Muni last night, I pretty much just watched and just like that, and then I fell asleep. So I think it's going to be good because it's. They said it's like Ozark meets Outer Banks.
Oh, man.
Because it's set in
It's
North
really neat.
Carolina, and I think it's got a really good cast. That Holt McElhenney, he was the dad in Iron Claw, if you saw that wrestling movie.
Yes.
He's a longtime character actor. And then Maria Bello plays the wife, and then Melissa Benoist, she was in Glee. She was Supergirl. She plays one of the she plays a daughter, and then that. So it's
a
rich
crime drama.
It's a crime drama. It's rich people having problems. They have a coastal empire, but it's crumbling. So we'll see what that happens. But it sounds good. It's from the creator of Dawson's Creek. So that's interesting.
Well, that you got Frank in there for sure.
I think I
100%.
didn't watch. I don't know what that is.
I saw. Well, your children probably did.
You and I are not the demographic for Dawson's Creek. in
Yeah,
the least.
yeah. So I think that it's going to be because he set, Dawson's Creek, I think South Carolina. So it's that kind of vibe. But I saw a headline in Variety gave it a really good review. Said it was very soapy and engaging.
Great.
Yeah, very, very fun. Speaking of engaging, how about our favorite furniture store? How are things going over at Miller Furniture?
Yes, well, now this is the twice a year they have the half price sale, and it is now on through July 8th. And this is the time, if you're on the fence about furniture, this is the time because really it is half price and it's on custom orders, and you get really great financing deals. And now their selection is just through the roof. So 4 places, Ellisville and Lake St. Louis and Fairview Heights and Belleville, the home flagship, which they just remodeled. So it's going to be hot. So take a day and just look at everything and make up your mind. And they will help you. They have unparalleled customer service. So Miller Furniture, check them out.
Thank you. Speaking of checking stuff out, I highly recommend, so does Frank, that you check out, of course, Lynn's incredible writing at places like the Webster Kirkwood Times. And also, if you haven't visited her website, poplifestl.com, Lynn also is a phenomenal writer. And so you, too, can hire her for your writing projects, or if you need a ghost writer or anything like that, I highly recommend that you consider using Lynn as well. So thanks, as always, Lynn. Very fun to have you.
Well, thank you. And I've got The Bear marked on my calendar Wednesday, 7 p.m. All 10 episodes drop.
All right. Can't wait. We'll be talking about that with you next week. Something that I think is really fun is our friends at OxyFresh. I had a chance to look at some of their customer reviews online. This is one of my favorite. From a guy named Jonathan. Watching our tech work was like watching Bob Ross paint. If Bob Ross had a turbo-powered steam extractor and vendetta against pet odor. He took on every stain like it had personally offended him, and he won. When he was done, my living room smelled like a meadow in spring and looked like I actually vacuum more than once a fiscal quarter. Speaking of good writing and compelling writing, that was a great great testament to the work that OxyFresh does. I'm not as eloquent about it, but I can say that I thought they did an excellent job when they came to my house as well. I used them to do all of our upholstery. Excellent job before and afters. I couldn't really capture it on camera, but in person, you got to trust me. It was night and day, the difference from where we started to where we got. And that's because they use a patented system that uses all natural enzymes to break down the dirt, the grime, the pet odors, everything into tiny little molecules. And then they're able to extract it with the technology I like to call super sucker. I mean, it is a very, very high powered vacuum to be able to pull all of that stuff that we want to get out of our carpets. That includes the stains, the smells, the stuff that we don't want to be there, and get them looking like new again. Oxyfresh.com or 877-OXYFRESH. That's 877-OXYFRESH. want to get madder and madder to myself about why the other person should telepathically know why I want them to do something differently.
Brilliantly insightful. But on the subject of movie theater, what would be, since we've all gone to many movies in the St. Louis area, at its zenith, the coolest theater to watch a movie? Mine would be Esquire 1. You know, I saw the Rockies.
The big screen.
Yeah, I think that was the coolest. But I'm sure there's some other great ones.
Esquire 1 was that the
In
one
Clayton?
in Clayton, right?
Yeah.
I
Still
was going to
there.
say.
Yeah.
right next to the that was like the first big fancy Schnucks
Yeah.
and that whole.
Knowing your wealth, you'd probably say the Frontenac.
No, I mean Frontenac in the last few years
I
has
never
been
liked the
crazy.
Frontenac.
Stuff's been like coming through the
It feels
ceiling.
old.
It's like it was old even like
When it was new.
before it was old even before they did the whole renovation thing and got the new seats. It was like while they had the other theaters had the kind of regular seats, they had like these like hard like it was
Wasn't
weird.
their
It was
popcorn pretty
bad.
good, though? I think it was.
Popcorn was pretty
All right,
good,
but
but it
what's your
also was
theater?
like a half-mile walk to the bathroom, which was not my favorite
That's
part
right.
of it.
Yeah.
I love the Alamo. I love
Now, where's
going
the
there.
Alamo?
It's in the Foundry. You sit back in this comfortable lounger. They'll bring
And
you
they bring you food.
or a nice
Or
nice
drinks.
glass of wine and a warm chocolate chip cookie. I mean, that's a good way to enjoy a movie in my book. So
right.
I like it.
Well, mine was gonna be the Esquire. That's where we went when I was a kid, and I still like to go there.
Yeah. Now those West is West Olive and Creve Coeur still both open?
I'm not sure. Creve Coeur, I think, has two like
Yeah.
on Olive, so I'm not sure which is
I mean,
which.
I agree with your thought about the big chairs and you press a button and the food. Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, and the Alamo also will have fun old movies like that you can rewatch in the movie theater setting, which is kind of fun. Like they had like a
I do
party.
like that about Ronnie's. I don't know if you know if that's still around, the big multiplex, and like they have so many theaters that during the summer they'll rescreen old movies. Last year they had Jaws. I went and saw Jaws in the theater.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be a cool thing to do.
Yeah, they do that. They'll have like a grease party at the Alamo, and you'll walk in, just watch another movie, and everybody will be dressed up like they're for the movie Grease, and people can dance, and apparently it's fun. Song of the day, we made a little challenge for ourselves this week and picked every day of the week a song that had that day of the week in it. I'm not going to lie, Wednesday and Thursday were a bit of a stretch, but Friday, this one was easy.
Thank God it's Thank God it's
Memories of this song back when it came out the first time.
Well,
Frank
what a
Cusimano.
voice. What a voice.
You had to be wearing bell bottoms and a nice knit big collared shirt and getting ready to go out to the disco with
Gold
your
necklaces.
friends.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, what a song.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun one, and it's one I think when you hear it, you can't help but get just a little excited for the weekend. Last night, Donnybrook, Donnybrook Last Call, which of course is their show that you can watch. It's the last 10 minutes of the show every week on YouTube, just like you can watch Frank and me on YouTube. Just type in 550 KTRS TV and you can see what it is we're wearing and doing on any day of the week now, along with listening to the show. But there was a somewhat spirited discussion about the idea that we talked about yesterday on the show, Frank, which is that there's going to be a drone show at the Arch Fireworks this year, and that the drone show is sponsored by the movie Superman. And some of the people on the panel felt like, gosh, what are we doing that we're commercializing July 4th, and what's wrong with just having the fireworks? And I thought our good friend Wendy Weiss brought up some really good points in the discussion.
Ads in public restrooms.
We do.
So I think we passed tacky about 150 miles ago. I don't know that anybody would even blink if they'd even notice that that there were ads for Superman at a 4th of July celebration. Everything is sponsored today, and people are getting used to it. Yeah. And like
what are your thoughts on that?
I don't feel anything strong either way.
I don't either. I think the drone show is going to be a nice little way to mix things up a bit. And the fact that there is somewhat of a St. Louis connection, that the person who made this incredible blockbuster happen, James Gunn, is from St. Louis. I'm kind of buying it, but maybe I'm too easily influenced on things like this. Do you have any thoughts on that at all, Connor? Or do you
In
think
terms
it's-
of the ads, were fireworks shows not already sponsored?
I think they are in some municipalities.
I was
one
gonna say,
downtown.
was this not already like, the 4th of July fireworks show brought to you by Ameren? Like, it's like, it's been happening for a long time.
Yeah, and maybe it was just less, that they'll actually see a commercial at the end of the show. Maybe that's where people think that we've crossed the line. What do you guys think on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126? We would love to hear from you. Lots more in the show, including our friend Andrew Lucier playing some great music today in preview of his concert tonight. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this. High school, went on to finish at Belmont University, studied a little music, and is making it as a musician in Nashville as we speak. Songwriter, musician. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
And so you, I got to see you up on the stage as a middle schooler. You were better than the rest. We'll just say it now. So I'm not surprised that things have gone for you as well as they have. What is it like for you to live as a full-time musician now in Nashville?
It's great. It's everything I wanted to do. Just getting to write and just be creative and having the support of like the people around me is been the best part. I think getting to come back to St. Louis and play for my friends and have them be excited about it, me be excited about it, and just have a great time. Like that's the best, absolutely the best part about it.
So what was the break, that thing that really helped you, a performance where maybe you were kind of discovered and you got more gigs out of that?
TikTok has been a big help for sure. You know, like every day you got to post on TikTok, see if you can make something happen. But also the voice was a little bit of a help, you know, kind of added a little bit of a legitimacy when reaching out to venues and being able to book more shows and stuff like that. So that's been a help.
So you write great music. You do a great job at doing covers of a lot of other musicians that people would love as well. But I think you write just incredibly beautiful music as well. Is there a favorite part for you? Is it performing? Is it writing a song? Is it doing a concert in your hometown like you are tonight? Where would you say all those things line up for you?
The hometown concert, I don't know if anything beats that, but when you're writing and you catch a flow with writing something, that is one of the best parts as well, you know, because it's just like, oh, it's flowing. Finally, I got a good idea. Because you can be writing for a couple of days, not get anything, and then, you know, when that inspiration hits, you're like, yes, thank God, I got something that I think is good or I like. So that's one of the best parts. But performing, I mean, come on, nothing really beats that up on stage, playing to your friends or playing to random people, and yeah.
Who's the country star that you can, like, when you watch him or her, boy, I wish I had that kind of talent, or the one that I really enjoy and I could pick up stuff from?
Let me think about that. I like a lot of up and comers right now. Like what I would say is my peers or people who are a little bit above me. Like there's this guy Evan Honer in Nashville. He's great, but I'm trying to think of a bigger.
How about
star.
old school famous? Like
old school. You know who I love? A guy, Dan Fogelberg. Does anybody remember?
Yeah, of course.
I love him. His writing is like, it's incredible the way it makes you feel. That's something I want to do. He's a big inspiration for me.
He accompanied Frank on a lot of dates back in the day.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Lonely in Love. I see you. Good
So
stuff.
I know you wrote a really great song this year. I think that was maybe inspired by a boyfriend of your wonderful younger sister who didn't treat her so well.
Yes.
So it was Garrison Keillor who said, nothing bad ever happens to a writer's life. It all just becomes material. Is anything that happens in your life or in your family's life material for a future song?
I gotta say, like, whether they like it or not, you know, like if something happens to one of my friends or my siblings, you know, like it's like, I feel like I gotta write about it. Of course, I'll ask, like, hey, can I write about this? I don't want to expose any of your stuff.
Does the boyfriend know?
The boyfriend, I don't know if the boyfriend knows. Like he's like I think he's like a salmon fisherman or something. So he like lives off like on a boat or
Yeah,
like
he's not
half of the
gonna
year.
find out.
I don't think he doesn't have social media, so he hasn't seen any of that. Like, I really don't think he knows.
Can you imagine if he figured it out one day?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I haven't even really thought about that.
May it reach #1 on the charts, so he's forced to.
Wait, that's my name, you know.
That's
All
right. That's right. You and Frank knew each other a little bit from your kids, from his son playing basketball with you. Is there anything from your previous life exposure, whether it was music teachers in school or your life on the basketball court for all those years you played youth basketball, that translates into helping you be successful as a songwriter and singer in Nashville?
So, when I played basketball, my dad was the coach for a lot of the time for me through middle school and into high school, and I think still he's right there with me, like kind of coaching me through it, like pushing me, making sure I'm doing the same thing, having the work ethic that I need to. So like that in a way kind of translates is very similar. You know, it was like kind of a easier transition because just having somebody who fully supports you, and same as my mom, just fully supporting me through that transition and pushing me to be the best I can be, that is definitely.
So what's the dream? What's the goal? What do you envision?
Ultimately, I would say like to be able to tour and, you know, have like all across the nation at least, and have some people who want to show up and listen to the music, and that's a big goal, and just have people just enjoy the music, however many that is. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, but yeah, just to see how far I can really take it.
Well, we get to hear you play tonight at Off-Broadway concert. I understand there's just a few tickets left, so once folks hear you play in a second here, I think those are going to get snapped up pretty fast. So when compare it to getting in front of a crowd in one of the other cities you're touring in, or in a Nashville where it's mostly strangers in the audience, versus tonight when you're going to know a lot of those faces looking up and singing along and cheering with you. Does one or the other make you more nervous, or how do you feel about that?
It's a good question. I mean, like, so if it's people I know and they're singing along, like that kind of, the energy up there is it's better in a way, you know, because I can just like, I can look and have kind of my comfort people, like, hey, you know, but also it's knowing that it's everybody, you know, like I don't want to embarrass myself, you know, in front of them. So
Yes.
double-edged sword, but I really do love the hometown crowd and have people I know.
Do we take a short time out and then we come back and you play a little bit?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, we're in for a big treat here. Andrew Lucier, St. Louis, born and raised, now Nashville songwriter and singer. Tell us about the song you're going to play for us.
All right, so this one is called "Where Does One Go to Find a Wife?" I know it's an interesting title. I wrote it, but it's not necessarily about me, right? I mean, you guys know.
Not
I
ready
could
for that
find
yet.
A wife. No, I could find a wife if I wanted to, like easily, like super easily, like without a doubt. But so this one is called "Where Does One Go to Find a Wife?"
Buying groceries overdressed. It's the only time I left the house all day. I guess it's my best shot. Trying not to drink as much doesn't mix with finding love, so now I'm in a tough spot. It feels like I'm always too desperate, too selective, or too late. Wonder where she's at now. So far all my effort has gone to waste. How am I to find her? What's a guy supposed to do? I'm building up this life for two. I'd just like to know for who. Coffee dates and double text, witty prompts and casual sex. Is that all? All that there is now? Trying to be who I would want, working on myself so long. I'd like someone else to care about. It feels like I'm always too desperate, too selective, or too late. Wonder where she's at now. So far, all my efforts gone to waste. How am I to find her? What's a guy supposed to do? I'm building up this life for two. I just like to know for who. How am I to find her? What's a guy supposed to do? I'm building up this life for two. I just like to know for who.
Andrew Lucier, that
Wow.
was
Thank you.
amazing. I'm not gonna
Appreciate
lie.
that.
I got
Great writing, too.
Thank you very much,
I told
man.
you, and he's an incredible guitar player and incredible
Thank you.
vocalist. And yes, I did get a little choked up. I'm very proud of you.
For
To
life,
say
you know.
we knew you when, it's really been fun to watch your career, and I cannot wait to see the places you'll go tonight. Get your tickets now, available. A few seats left at, well, I guess it's standing room only, over at Off Broadway, and see Andrew play
Now,
tonight.
where is that specifically?
It's just really near downtown. It's a
Okay.
great,
Yeah.
great venue. So many great musicians have played there. I'm so glad you get to join that
What if
stage.
your mom kind of likes the theme of that song?
Yeah.
Yes.
Parts of it for sure. Thanks again for being with us, Andrew. We'll be right back after this.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Welcome back, everybody. That was Andrew Lucier. Wasn't he phenomenal, Frank?
That was really a great song.
Yeah,
Gosh.
yeah, and I really do. I like all the songs that I've heard him do. He really does an excellent job. Somebody else who does an excellent job are our friends over at 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery. I just can't think of a more fun place to go grab a delicious Friday lunch today. Whether you are looking for a little barbecue, you want one of their incredible burgers, you want their interesting take on a chicken burrito called the Cluckerito, which, by the way, is out of this world. Or maybe you want something a little healthier, and then you want to finish it off with something outstanding from their bakery. That's why the bakery's in the name. Carol Gross, co-owner of 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery, does an incredible job with their out-of-this-world desserts as well. You've driven by it 1,000 times. Phillips 66 station at Clayton Road and 141. You can get your gas, get what you want at the convenience store, and then keep going to the back where the service bays used to be is now a wonderful restaurant. Always a really fun mix of people in there every time I go as well. Grabbing a lunch, taking a break, or you can get it to go if you want, or you can cater it for your next event at work or at home. They do a great job at that as well. Check out their website, 3baybarbecueandbakery.com, to see some delectable items on their menu, or better yet, stop by 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery for lunch today. So speaking of delicious food, you've got a date at John Minio's this weekend.
Yes, I wanted to take Monique and her sister Sandra, who's flying in for Boston for the birthday, to John Minio's, one of my favorite places. Maybe it's a top 5 of all time in St. Louis. Just feel like I'm walking into Italy. That red sauce is insane. John, Rick Sparks, who's been on our program, they do such an unbelievable job. If you haven't been there, Clayton Road, Town and Country, just absolutely love the place. So, and they are with Kuna, and Kuna sponsors our weekly segment every Thursday. We appreciate Kuna being a part of the program. All right, we got an interesting text here about, can you please wait a minute, no. What was the name of the theater in St. Louis that showed the Rocky Horror Picture Show? Was it the Varsity or the Tivoli on Del Mar? That every Friday or Saturday night, Friday night, people would dress up like characters in Rocky Horror Picture Show, and some of those costumes were pretty exotic, and it was like theater. Watching the people.
The Tivoli is the one that is on Del Mar.
They both are Varsity and Tivoli right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, it was so big. I mean, I even went to one of those, and just to see the costumes, and everybody would yell out the lines throughout the show. Did you ever see the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I have seen it one time, and
Oh my gosh.
I'm not going to lie, it was in college, and I may not have been in my best frame of mind when I went there.
Like before or after the streaking?
That was high school, and there was no alcohol involved in that. But there may or may not have been alcohol involved in the.
The Tivoli isn't even a movie theater anymore, right?
No longer with us.
It's no longer with us. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's still there, but it's used for
other things.
Yes,
like the building's still there.
Church and other things.
I do
like that.
love that strip there on Del Mar. It's pretty cool. I mean, Vintage Vinyl is one of my favorite places to walk in and buy the old albums and stuff. It's just so cool. It was the Varsity, the Varsity Theater.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for clarifying that, as always. Somebody else is asking about the do you remember the name of the murder mystery show that Lynn was recommending at the end of the segment today?
I'll have to text her.
Yeah,
I
let's
don't
text her,
remember.
and we'll text you that later, because I cannot remember the name of it either. It's not the one that has Q in the name. She's recommended that another time.
Wait a minute, the one that's on Netflix? Is it called The Waterfront?
Nope, I was looking that up too. That's not the. Is that the one she recommended? Maybe it is. You know,
Yeah.
Frank, the mind is a terrible thing to lose, and sometimes mine's a little bit like
it's
Swiss
the
cheese.
Waterfront.
Okay.
The Waterfront.
Good job. Good research.
Somebody's saying it was the Tivoli, but we got 3 Varsity ones. Somebody said, I never dressed up, but I took toast and threw it. Yeah, that's from Mary Lynn, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
It was kind of interactive movie going.
Yes, also saying blown away by the music of Andrew Lucier. I can understand
was
why.
great.
Yeah, it was very good. Somebody else pointing out that Alamo is their new go-to, and that's Ed Becker saying, and the AMC 12 and B&B both in Creve Coeur still there.
I tell you, somebody also put in going to movies at the Fox, which was really a cool thing. There's a picture of my mom and her sister Joanne, because they grew up on Grand Avenue, of those two dressed immaculately walking out of the fox. You can see the big fox thing in the background after they saw a movie.
They should do that again. Why do they
Movies?
not do that?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There's an off season. We throw up some movies, you know?
And you brought up a good topic earlier about the behavior. Both you and Connor brought up this idea of how people behave in movie theaters. Somebody's saying that if you go to the Alamo, they actually do a really good job of being strict about phones, and they will monitor it for you. And then another person pointing out if somebody's behavior is poor, you can get up and go tell staff, and most of the time they'll do a pretty good job.
Yeah, it's kind of against my nature to go, tattle on someone to the.
Yeah, me too. I would never
principal.
tattle, right, Frank?
Yeah, I can picture that.
Was I a big tattletale when I was at least a kid? Yes.
Yes,
I was.
Oh my
Ask
God.
my siblings.
It fits the whole goody two-shoe thing. Yep. Well, he did that, sister.
Yeah, no, I was even meaner about it than that. I would lure my little brother into doing something bad,
entrapment.
and
You're
then I was
trying to-
entrapping him,
yeah.
and then I would go tattle on him. It was bad. I mean, it was before I went to kindergarten, so I give myself a little bit of a break. But yes, the seeds of my being a not a good person, I guess, started really early on in my life.
Well, it doesn't make you not a good person. It just
Makes you annoying.
And that's how we'll finish the week here. Good work all week long by Connor. Nice work by Jill. We'll take a short time out. We'll be back Monday at 10. Carney and Buck coming up next.